Imagine attempting to redraw the map of the American Midwest without, pouring a single ounce of concrete.
Right, just using words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just think about the sheer audacity required to tell millions of people that this century-old cultural institution is abandoning its home state, but somehow, framing it as an expansion rather than a retreat.
It's a massive PR challenge.
It really is. Today, we are looking at how a legendary sports franchise is attempting to execute this multi-billion-dollar geographic and economic takeover. And the wildest part, they are doing it with a memo that is like barely one paragraph long.
Yeah, it's incredibly brief.
The Chicago Bears have officially announced plans to build a monumental new stadium across state lines in Hammond, Indiana.
It is a staggering pivot. I mean, if this materializes the way they're signaling, it alters the economic gravity of the entire Chicagoland region overnight.
Oh, absolutely. And we are going to tear into the hidden mechanics of this move today. But before we get to the actual blueprints of this deal, I need to ask you, yes, you listening right now, to please hit that like button, subscribe, follow the show, and turn on those notifications.
Yeah, you really don't want to miss a single deep dive as stories of this magnitude continue to unfold.
Keep those notifications active for sure, because the landscape changes so fast. Speaking of things changing fast, I do have a brief mandatory update regarding the situation with Martin Stevens and OpenAI.
Right. Let's get the facts straight there.
Exactly. We are sticking strictly to the verified facts as they stand right now. First, it is not a lawsuit. Second, a voluntary quiet period has been requested by Martin Stevens.
Okay.
Third, there is no progress or settlement confirmed at this time. Fourth, the so-called dead man switch has not been activated. And finally, Martin Stevens is physically and legally safe.
That is a critical clarification.
Yeah, that is the objective reality of the situation today.
It's always best to just cut through the speculation and, lay out the verified reality.
Completely agree. So, returning to our main focus, the Chicago Bears are heading to Indiana. And our source material today is highly unusual because of its brevity.
It's just that one single joint statement, right?
Yeah, one official joint statement released by the Bears. It is incredibly brief. But the mission for you, the listener today, is to join us in this forensic close reading of this exact text.
Because there's a lot hiding in there.
Exactly. Because when you strip away the immediate shock value of the headline, there's this masterclass in strategic ambition hiding in the phrasing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when an organization valued in the billions releases a statement of this magnitude, every single syllable has been weighed, debated, and stress tested by legal and PR teams.
They don't just wing it.
No, not at all. We are looking at a highly engineered piece of corporate messaging.
To really understand the weight of this, you have to look at who is actually delivering the message. The release is titled, in bold letters, Statement from Chicago Bears Chairman George H. McCaskey and President and CEO Kevin Warren.
Both of them right at the top.
Right. I want to pause on that. You have both names sharing the marquee. It immediately makes me think of a high-stakes corporate merger.
That's a great comparison.
Like when two giant tech companies combine or there's a massive shift in a legacy company's direction, they always make sure both the visionary founder and the operational CEO are standing on the stage together, right?
Yeah, to assure the market that everything is fine.
Exactly.
It's this deliberate projection of absolute institutional stability. You really have to understand the internal dynamics of a professional sports franchise to grasp why putting both of those names on the letterhead is so critical.
Break that down for us.
Well, George H. McCaskey represents the ownership level. He is the legacy, the family, the deep historical roots of the franchise. And then Kevin Warren is the executive level. He's the operational powerhouse, the actual architect of modern stadium development.
So you have the history and the future, or I guess the checkbook and the blueprints, effectively locking arms in public.
That's a great way to put it. That internal unity is paramount because historically, stadium negotiations across the country fall apart due to internal franchise fracturing.
Wait, really? Like they fight amongst themselves?
Oh, constantly. Imagine a scenario where the owner wants to stay in the city for legacy reasons, but the operations side wants to move to the suburbs for, say, better parking revenue.
Oh, I see where this goes. If there's even a hairline fracture between the owner and the CEO, local politicians or rival developers will just drive a truck right through it.
They absolutely will. A city mayor might call the owner directly, totally bypassing the CEO to exploit that nostalgia and derail a suburban move.
Wow.
That is the exact mechanism that causes these deals to collapse into a mess of public bickering. A divided front loses all its leverage.
Makes sense.
So, by uniting ownership and operations on a single definitive statement, the bears are sending an impenetrable message to the municipalities in Illinois, the developers in Indiana, and the corporate sponsors that there is zero daylight between us. The debate is over.
So they're building a fortress before they build a stadium. But okay, let's unpack this, because here's where the logic of this statement starts to bend my mind a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
So they have this united front. But what are they actually uniting behind? The very first sentence says, yesterday, the Chicago Bears Board of Directors met and voted to advance our stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana.
Right, massive news.
Massive news. But they end the sentence with the exact site to be selected.
Ah, yes, the engineered ambiguity.
Let me push back on this,
Okay.
because how do you have a formal board of directors vote to advance a multi-billion-dollar project without actually knowing which plot of dirt it's going to sit on?
It sounds a bit backwards.
It feels totally backwards. It's like proposing marriage to someone but saying, we're definitely getting married. I just haven't figured out who I'm marrying yet.
Yeah, the marriage analogy highlights the absurdity on a personal level, but let's shift the perspective to corporate strategy.
Okay.
Think of this less like a romance and more like Amazon's highly publicized search for HQ2 a few years ago.
Oh. Wait, so you're saying this is a deliberate tactic to spark a bidding war?
Precisely.
Like when a tech giant announces they are bringing 50,000 jobs to a state, but they don't name the city, forcing local mayors to, fight each other with tax breaks.
That is the exact causal business logic at play here. This vote is a statement of regional intent, not a real estate closing.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
When the board votes to formally advance the project in the city of Hammond, it triggers a massive legal and operational cascade. They don't need the specific GPS coordinates of the 50-yard line to start the machine.
So by declaring the municipality but not the specific parcel of land, they create this gravity well of desperation among the private landowners in Hammond.
Exactly.
If you own 50 acres in Hammond right now, you are suddenly competing against the guy across town who owns 60 acres. The Bears just drove the price of the land down before they even made an offer.
They did. And beyond just the price of the dirt, it allows Kevin Warren and his team to officially begin marshaling political resources.
Like lobbying.
Yes, they can start lobbying the state legislature in Indiana. They can begin massive infrastructure planning with the Department of Transportation, asking for highway off-ramps and public transit integration.
Right.
And crucially, they can initiate tax increment financing discussions.
Okay, let's pause on that, because tax increment financing, or TIF, gets thrown around a lot in these mega projects.
It does, yeah.
For the listener trying to understand the underlying mechanics of this deal, how does a TIF actually work in this scenario?
Simply put, tax increment financing is a mechanism where a city uses the future property tax revenue generated by a new development to pay for the current costs of building it.
Okay, so borrowing against tomorrow to build today.
Exactly. The team goes to the city and says, hey, this vacant industrial land isn't generating much tax revenue right now,
Right.
but if we build a $3 billion stadium district here, the property value is going to skyrocket. We want you to capture that future, increase tax revenue, and give it back to us today to help pay for our construction costs.
Wow. So basically telling the city, we're going to make this swamp incredibly valuable, so use the future wealth we are creating to buy our bulldozers today.
That is a perfect distillation. But to secure a complex mechanism like a TIF, you need massive political momentum.
Which is why they announced it now.
Yes. If they waited until the final real estate contracts were signed on a specific parcel of land in secret, the process could drag on for years, subject to leaks and localized pushback.
Yeah.
By planting the Hammond flag publicly now, they force the state of Indiana, the city of Hammond, and regional developers to the table immediately.
So they created the inevitable reality of the stadium before the stadium even has a street address.
Precisely.
But, sparking a massive economic bidding war in Indiana creates a totally different, potentially catastrophic PR problem back in Illinois.
It certainly does.
Which leads us to the geographic gymnastics in the middle of this statement.
Ah, yes. The Cartographic Manifesto.
The Cartographic Manifesto. That is a great way to frame it, because they explicitly draw a map with their words to soothe a wounded fan base.
Yeah, they do.
Listen to how specific they get about the route. They say the Hammond Stadium will transform the region, connecting northwest Indiana to the south side of Chicago, through the loop and across neighborhoods and suburbs stretching north of the city.
It's very specific.
I read that and thought, why on earth are they giving us turn-by-turn driving directions in a corporate memo?
To understand that, we really have to look at the psychological weight of state lines.
Okay, tell me more.
Driving 40 minutes from downtown Chicago to a suburb in Illinois feels like a commute. But driving 40 minutes from downtown Chicago across the border into Indiana feels like a defection.
Oh, because it triggers that immediate narrative of abandonment.
Exactly.
Like the Bears are leaving us. You are taking a century-old cultural institution and placing it behind an invisible jurisdictional wall. That naturally alienates the generational fans who feel ownership over the team.
It does. But look at the rhetorical strategy they deploy to counteract that feeling of betrayal.
The map.
The map. By explicitly tracing that geographic line, starting in Hammond, pushing directly up through the historic South Side, piercing the iconic downtown loop, and reaching all the way into the northern suburbs, they are fundamentally reframing the narrative.
I see. So they're trying to frame Hammond not as a departure from Chicago, but as a new foundational anchor for a unified cross-state Chicagoland.
Exactly. They are using language to artificially erase the Illinois-Indiana border.
That's fascinating.
They validate the working class fans on the South Side. They pay respect to the corporate money in the downtown loop, and they acknowledge the generational wealth in the northern suburbs.
Wow.
The message is, we aren't leaving your map. We are just stretching your map to include Hammond.
So they build a psychological bridge with words before they ever have to deal with the physical logistics of traffic.
Precisely.
It's a way of ensuring that nobody in their massive multi-state market feels economically or emotionally left out of this new era.
It is brilliant messaging, but it also sets up the most profound shift in the entire document.
How so?
Well, once you stretch that map, you have to define what you are actually building on it.
Which brings us to the final crescendo of the statement, the promises.
Right.
They claim this project will transform the region, that it will bring Chicagoland together, and that it will deliver new opportunities to its residents and businesses.
Notice anything about those words?
Yes. I read this thing 3 times, and something finally clicked for me. I noticed a glaring omission. I want to challenge you on this. Did you notice what they completely forgot to mention in their own stadium announcement?
I suspect we caught the same deliberate void.
The word football is nowhere to be found.
Nowhere.
They don't mention touchdowns. They don't mention the gridiron. They don't mention winning a championship. They don't even use the word fans.
It's really telling.
An NFL franchise just released a monumental statement about their future, and they omitted the actual sport they play.
Yes. And instead of sports terminology, consider the vocabulary they prioritized. Residents, businesses, new opportunities, transform the region.
They are talking like a civic infrastructure developer, not a football coach.
Exactly. This is the defining evolution of the modern mega franchise. The Chicago Bears are clearly and definitively positioning themselves out of the pure entertainment business.
What are they now, then?
They are declaring themselves a primary economic engine and a major urban developer for the American Midwest.
Let's unpack the mechanics of that.
Yeah.
Because when a normal person hears stadium, they picture a massive concrete bowl surrounded by a sea of asphalt parking lots that sits completely empty for 350 days a year.
Right, the traditional model.
Yeah. How does that isolated concrete island deliver new opportunities to residents and businesses?
Well, the isolated concrete island model is dead. Modern stadiums of this financial caliber are the anchor tenants for entirely new, year-round urban ecosystems.
Oh, wow.
We are talking about mixed-use developmental philosophy.
So they aren't just building a place to play a game 10 Sundays a year. They're building a neighborhood.
They are building an economic district. When they bypass the word fans and speak directly to residents and businesses, they are signaling a development that includes year-round commercial zoning.
Okay, so what does that actually look like on the ground?
It means boutique hotels, corporate headquarters, sprawling retail complexes, high-density residential condos, and likely an upgraded public transportation transit hub.
That fundamentally changes the regional GDP.
Absolutely.
They're literally talking about altering the daily commuting habits, the job market, and the tax base of millions of people who might never even buy a ticket to a football game.
Yes. By utilizing that specific civic vocabulary, the Bears are telling the broader public, including the politicians who hold the purse strings, this project is for you too.
It is an economic engine disguised as a football stadium.
Exactly.
It is genuinely wild to step back and look the sheer scale of ambition hidden in such a tiny piece of text. We have covered some incredible ground today.
We really have.
Let's trace the conceptual journey we just took. We started with a brief, almost clinical memo about a team moving to Hammond. But by diving into the mechanics of the phrasing, we uncovered the corporate strategy.
Unpacking every layer.
Yeah. We saw how McCaskey and Warren projecting a united front prevents local politicians from driving a wedge into the franchise.
Establishing the fortress of stability before negotiations even begin.
Right. And then we looked at the brilliant Amazon HQ2 style tactic of voting for the city but leaving the exact site blank.
Forcing private developers to drop land prices and sparking a desperate bidding war for tax increment financing.
Generating unstoppable momentum through engineered ambiguity.
Yes.
Then we marveled at their cartographic manifesto, using language to stretch the psychological map of Chicagoland, erasing the stigma of the state line.
Keeping a century-old fan base emotionally tethered to a new location. Managing the deep psychology of geographic loyalty.
It's just brilliant. And finally, we decoded the ultimate strategic pivot, dropping the language of football entirely to position a sports team as a massive, mixed-use urban developer focused on the daily lives of residents and businesses.
It takes a lot of nerve to pull off that kind of corporate communication.
It really does.
And, if we pull the lens back even further, it leaves us with a rather profound conceptual shift to consider.
Ooh, what's that?
We are watching a private entertainment company explicitly claim responsibility for transforming the region and bringing Chicagoland together. If a professional sports franchise now views itself as the literal connecting tissue for an entire multi-state corridor, redrawing the map from Indiana straight through the Loop and up to the northern suburbs, what does that say about the evolving power dynamics of our modern cities?
That is a big question.
We have to ask ourselves, as traditional civic governments struggle with infrastructure and budget deficits, are mega sports franchises actively replacing them as the primary architects of regional identity and urban planning?
Man, that is a heavy, fascinating thought to end on. Does the stadium build the city, or does the city build the stadium?
Something to think about.
Thank you so much for breaking down the mechanics of this move with me, and a huge thank you to you for joining us on this deep dive today.
Yes, thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed unpacking the hidden strategic depths of this massive announcement, please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this episode with a friend who loves the business behind the sports, and make sure you're following the show. We will see you on the next deep dive.